Episode 229, the Louisiana Marathon with Michelle Reed. Welcome to the pursuit of the perfect race. I'm Coach Terry Wilson, and with each episode, I bring stories of athletes to you that share their experiences at races in order for you to learn how to have your perfect race. We will hear stories from athletes of all ages, abilities, and races of all distances. So regardless of where you fit in, there's something in it for you. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Now let the pursuit begin. Hey everybody, welcome back to the pursuit of the perfect race. Today I'm talking with Michelle Reed about her recent race at the Louisiana Marathon, where she had a Boston qualifying time of 3 hours, 35 minutes, and 48 seconds. This was her fifth time trying to get her spot for the Boston Marathon. Michelle came on last year to talk about her 70.3. This time, we're talking about her day at a marathon instead of a triathlon. Welcome back to the show, Michelle. I look forward to hearing you. I look forward to hearing about your story at your marathon. I'm messing up already. Oh, my goodness.
I was thinking how well you were doing.
I know. Man, so how you been?
Oh, I've been great. You been good?
Yeah, hanging out, going to school, ready to get done with my dang schooling. I'll be ready. Man, it's been an interesting year already. Yeah. So, how was your training going into this race?
Oh, it was great. Like I had my little calendar, and every day I would do whatever run I had planned or bike. I just cross it off, and I pretty much did every single little thing, maybe with little tweaks here and there for different reasons. Except for the Saturday before the race, I had to cut my run short. But besides that, I was able to get every single thing in.
You had to cut a run short?
Yeah, I had a last long tempo run the Saturday, the Saturday before, not before the race, but the week before. I started getting a pull in the arch of my left foot, and I started feeling it that Friday. And then on the Saturday, it kept getting worse and worse, and I thought it would slack off, but it didn't. And I knew that by then I had all the training that I needed for the race, just like in the bank. So I said, it's not worth it. I was on the treadmill that day by chance, and I finished the time that I had to do, but just walking. And then I laid off my foot for a couple days. And then as the week progressed, getting closer to the race, I just did a couple like 30-minute runs, 20-minute runs, and just to kind of get to feel, that foot. And I stretched the heck out of that leg that week, like my foot and my leg and the tennis ball rolling and the ice and the foot up and every single thing that I could think of in the book to just kind of relieve the muscle pressure and just kind of get my foot back up again. I did. That was only one little thing that kind of worried me for the race, but a couple days before the race, I knew I was good to go, and that was it. Mm-hmm.
So doing an early year marathon in January, a lot of your training is going to be through the holidays. Mm-hmm. How did you deal with not gaining weight in the holidays?
Well, I actually, at the beginning of training, like in October, I got on the scale, and I had not looked at the scale in so long because I was like, I know how to eat. I don't need this. I'll just eat what I want.
I don't need this negativity in my life.
Exactly. Well, finally, I gave in and I stood on the scale, and I was like, oh crap. I said, if I'm gonna take this race seriously, I need to lose about 10 pounds. So I just started counting my calories again. I used a little app, and just every single thing I ate, put it in there. And you could basically eat what you want. You just have to keep it, at a certain amount. And little by little, the pounds just came off, and I lost 10 pounds. And that's pretty much what I did through the holidays. I mean, I still had my little desserts here and there, but I could just have like a little bit of it. And but it wasn't bad. I mean, got up early, did my runs. I knew once I did it, I could check it off my calendar and then go on about my day.
Wow. So going into this race, your training overall, was this based off of mileage, time based? What was your training like? Was it heart rate based? What was your training like?
I was paying attention to heart rate. There was a specific amount of miles that we were trying to slowly build. I was trying to slowly build those miles up, but my runs are time based, but then as the joke goes, you kind of see like at what mile you're at when you get close to the end of that time. And you're like, let me just get to the next mile. So it always ended up being an hour run with maybe an extra 3 minutes thrown in there.
to make it even.
Exactly. Like I got to get that even mile. It's hard not to do, but.
So are you doing heart rate training at all with this?
Yeah, it was heart rate. So it was always like a tempo zone 4, aerobic, keep it zone 2. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I feel real good and get excited and I'd be running a little too fast and I'm like, I got to bring it down. But this year training went so well because like compared to last year, for example, where I got the flu in November, and that flu, even when you feel better, I mean, you still have it in your system. So this year, thank God I did not get the flu. I got my flu shot like I was supposed to, did not get the flu. And I started seeing that my heart rate would stay very low and I was at race pace. And I'm like, well, dang, like this is the pace I want to be at. And my heart rate's really low. So that kind of gave me more confidence in being able to hold the pace that I wanted to hold. So all my runs are heart rate based.
Okay. So were you doing like a standard 20-mile long run that you wanted to build up to, or what did you do on the long run side?
So I never ran more than 60 miles in one day. And if I did run 60 miles in one day, it was broken up.
You
so
said
I'd
60?
run
60 or 16?
16.
Okay. I was like, man.
Oh, I do those easy 60 miles on Saturday. I mean, that's the only way to go. Then the 26 miles is a breeze.
Yeah.
No, I 16 probably was the furthest, but that's still broken up. So probably about 11, 12 miles in the mornings on Saturday. And then I'll do like a double run. So then kind of let your legs rest. And then that afternoon you do like an extra 4 or 5 miles. So then you end up getting like that, quote unquote 16 miles that day, but not all at once. And then that way you avoid injuring yourself.
So you only did one of those every weekend?
No, and that was like towards just probably the month towards the end of the month, like the last month before the race.
So December.
Yeah, so like I'm trying to think back to when I had that first double run because I was kind of looking forward. I don't know why, for some reason I love the double runs. I was looking forward to those probably halfway through December. I think my double run started. And then you still run the Sunday morning though. So
but was that just
that
like
rest,
a nice and easy to run though?
It usually be like a 60-minute aerobic.
Okay. So what plan was this?
It's based off of Hanson's, but it's as I said before, my husband's run plan. I'm very good at following directions. So he's just like, here you go. And I'm like, got it. And then that's what I do. Man.
Well, I know Louisiana's had a pretty mild winter so far. Mm-hmm. But were there any days where you just didn't want to get out there and run?
No, I was looking for, because the training had been going so well, I actually was looking forward. Like I'd get up every day and I'd look forward to getting out there with my running group and I mean, which helps because if you're running by yourself, you're just kind of like, why am I getting up? Nobody's going to know. But, if you tell somebody I'm going to be there at 4 a.m, they're expecting you to be there. And so it gives you a little bit more, so word I'm looking for, confidence.
Responsibility.
Responsibility, accountability.
There we go.
It does give you confidence to know people are, waiting for you. But more accountability. But I always look forward to just, it was about meeting my friends, but it was also like about crossing that off, like every day it was just crossing that run off. And when my husband actually gave me, when my husband gave me the run plan, he said, it's a pretty aggressive plan. So you might not want to look at it as a whole. And I was just like, okay. And it's like, cause it's kind of aggressive. And I'm like, all right. And I did look at it as a whole for a minute. And I was like, oh, it is aggressive, but you have to take it one day at a time and just worry about how you're feeling each day separately and not worry about the whole thing.
Right. So what about strength training? Were you incorporating strength training or any type of leg work in here as well?
Yes. Normally I'll do strength training Tuesdays and Thursdays, but during run season, I'll go do strength training Thursdays, and I'll do upper body. I'll do lower body, but I kind of tweak it around. Like I want to get just enough to build up those muscles, but not enough to be sore that I can't get in my longer runs. And this year I tried to pay a lot of attention to my core and my glutes, because I was having hip issues on my left side that I had last year. Had those issues last year, and I felt like I really needed to make sure that the glute muscles were working well, because that's what was going to be pulling my legs. And at the end of this same race, of the Louisiana marathon last year, I was suffering. Like I felt like I had somebody just pushing my head down, like they were trying to just push me into the ground. And I knew that had to do with a weak core.
Right. So what about your nutrition on a day-to-day aspect? I mean, you talked a little bit about losing weight, but were you wanting to make sure you had like a regimented diet, or were you eating fast food, meal prepping? What was this looking like?
I was trying to meal prep, and basically my rule of thumb was I can eat anything in moderation, but try to choose the things that are better for you. So like if I was craving chocolate, okay, we'll go have a little square of chocolate, but what's better, milk chocolate or dark chocolate? Okay, we'll have some dark chocolate, So just what is it that I'm choosing? What am I in the mood for? Am I craving ice cream? Well, then go get a bowl of Greek yogurt with some berries and grape nuts in it or something, and it'll satisfy you the same way. Yeah, it still has the same amount of calories, but it's better calories for you. You get the protein. So I was just trying to make better choices in that sense.
Okay. So whenever you were doing your long runs and your longer training days, what kind of nutrition were you using?
I just eat the same. We're like eggs and bacon people in this house. So that's pretty much every day. So I had like my eggs and my bacon, and so for fat and protein, and I like that little bit of carbs. You have like the oatmeal, and that's like my biggest thing is having like that really good big breakfast, and then after that I'm just paying attention to. Most of the time I eat very little carbs. I don't eat a lot of carbs, so I try to make it more like protein, fatty foods, avocados, vegetables, a lot of vegetables. The week before the race, though, I started kind of incorporating a little bit more of the carbs, some more pastas, some rices, but still moderately, because I felt like if you overdo something you're not used to, then when the day of the race comes, you're going to feel real heavy. And it's just, you need the carbs, but you just not overdo it. Just keep it like moderate.
So I know Louisiana is really known for frying a lot of almost everything.
Yeah.
You laugh, but I know it's true. Like they fry everything.
Yes, they do.
How are you avoiding all these fried foods? Like it's on every corner.
Well, you got the cracklins and you got the boudin, and then you got all the stuff in the sauces, because that's another thing, like a lot of food and heavy sauces. But it's not the lack of want, but the fact that because I've been eating so healthy for so many years now, that when I do let myself eat stuff like that, I really, really do not feel good at all. So I can say, ooh, those cracklings look really good. But then I'm like, wait, how did I feel last time I had some of those? Not too good. All right, I'm just gonna push that to the side today. So that's the only way I can do it, because it does taste good.
So when did you actually register for this marathon?
I don't remember. I guess if I had to guess, probably October. I think it was in October, pretty much like when.
Oh, so that's whenever you actually said, okay, I'm going to do this, and then your training started shortly thereafter?
Yeah, because it's always like kind of like in September, October, the races that are coming up, and then you start kind of evaluating and having ran them, you kind of start thinking, okay, well, where did I do better? When has the weather been better? Then you think about also distance, because Baton Rouge is not 3 hours, an hour and a half from where I live. And so in that case, I don't have to stay the night over there. I could just stay in my own bed, in my own house, have my food, my kitchen. And we really like, that's a really fun race to do. They have a really great, post-race festival. And, I said, okay, I think this is going to be the one. And because it's an early one too, if something were to happen, then I could always go to my backup, which would be the Zydeco in Lafayette in March. And so that's why I chose that one. And probably then that, because run training was starting, then that's why I think I probably signed up for it in around October.
Okay. How much was it?
I don't remember. I know that's terrible. I really
just use David's card.
Because, it was David, yeah. But because we flip flop, so so many years in a row where we kind of flip flop back and forth as to when and how long we wait, because sometimes the price goes up, and so I'm not sure at what point. So I can't remember. I'm sorry to anyone that would like to know the price.
Yeah, just check out the website. I'm sure it's on there.
Exactly.
So I know we talked last time a little bit about your life, work, and balance and all that fun stuff. Has anything really changed since then, or can we skip that?
The kids are a little older, and not much has changed. Just David and I have to share training time, and unfortunately for him, this run season he had been having serious foot issues, so he's had to sort of just pay a lot of attention on how his foot feels, and try to get physical therapy here or needling there, or seeing the chiropractor, trying to work around it so he could still fit in some runs. So that was unfortunate for him, but fortunate on my side for the race training. Cause then, he's like, okay, this is your race. I'll back off today. You go ahead and run with the group. And so it was, a little easier in that sense.
Yeah. And that means he could actually be a good Sherpa for you.
Oh, yes.
That's what you basically said.
Yes, he was. Yes. And he was a perfect Sherpa, and he actually Sherpa'd that day. So he said, I'm there for you. I'm going to watch you. I'm going to be on the sidelines. I'm going to be at the finish line when you get there.
Man. So going into race week here, how was your overall mindset that week?
I was really positive because of how I'd seen the training going, and how I'd seen, like I said, my heart rate versus my pace, and how I'd been feeling. I'm not going to lie and say that there wasn't, I didn't want to get too confident. I didn't want to get too full of myself. I got this. I'm a beast. I'm going to do this. This is mine. I kept trying to just, if anyone was like, you got this, I'm like, thank you. I appreciate that. But I didn't want to get, because so many things can happen, either with me or with the weather. But I knew that everything had just kind of been falling into place. And so I felt really good, and I was ready. So I teach. That's my job during the days, to teach. And the kids can tell you that I was more focused on the race. Yeah, do this, put that there. The race is Sunday. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Come in. Stop talking. The race is Sunday. I just kept thinking about the race. But I felt very confident about, the training and being ready for it.
Oh, good. So what workouts did you do that gave you the confidence to go into this prepared?
I think it was the tempo. The tempo runs is what really, because, I'd go do the tempo runs, and I'm like, okay, I need to hold, my heart rate has to be in zone 3, or upper zone 3. But then I want to hold my pace of 820. Well, I'd start running 820, and I was still in aerobic. So that was a zone 2. And I'm like, well, dang, if I can run my race pace at aerobic, then surely I could hold that, for a marathon. And that just I just saw that my physical conditioning was doing so well. That's what gave me the confidence. Yeah.
So when did y'all go to the check-in process? I know this is a small race of less than 1,000 runners, but the check-in process is still pretty good though, right?
Oh yeah, it was. It was in Baton Rouge. I forgot the name of the place, but they have a lot of events there, near where the race happens. And we walk in. The first thing you see is where you go pick up your packet. Then you go get your T-shirt, and then you walk into the expo. They have the merchandise, and then all the good stuff, to see the shoes and the apparel, and future races that you can sign up for. and it just real easy in and out. Everyone's very helpful. It's fun. I felt like there were more people at the expo this year, so that made it even better.
Nice. So after you get your packet and all that stuff, you'll head back home, or y'all get a hotel room?
So we went and ate lunch, and I made sure that I had my water, stay hydrated, and then came back home, and I said, I want to be by myself in the room. I want to lay everything out. I need to go through the process. I need to put my gels in my race belt. I need to make sure I have every single little thing ready for tomorrow. And then my post-race bag, and I laid everything out, got everything together. And then after that, it was just about sitting down and relaxing and hanging out with the family and making sure I had a meal that, would digest well and get a good night's rest. Which on that note, maybe I was so relaxed because I was so confident with the training that week. I don't know what it was, but all week I had slept so well every night. And I kind of thought that the night before the race, I'd be nervous and I wouldn't sleep well. So my goal was to have a good night's rest the Friday. Well, I did. I had an amazing, sleep that Friday night. It was great. I rested like I needed to, went to the expo, went to bed Saturday night, and I slept like a baby. Like I slept so well Saturday night. I didn't think I would, but I was just relaxed. So I had, the training went well, the running went well, but also like the resting and the sleeping. And I got in some naps that week also. And I think that helped out a lot, because I think a lot of times we tend to forget that, the body needs rest.
So do you think your sleep quality is somehow correlated to your confidence level?
I think so. Yeah. Because I wasn't worried about anything and everything was going well. And, I was just, no stress, just ready.
Okay. So you get up on race day. What is your morning ritual like for a marathon?
So get up, put on everything I'd set out, which I put in order of how I put it on. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm like, that's the way to remember everything. Then I have some coffee. And let's see. I did something different this year. Usually I have some coffee and I get some oatmeal ready to eat on the way over there so I can eat it about an hour before the race. Well, this year I made it like I did. I don't know why. I had my coffee, had a piece of toast with a little bit of peanut butter on it and some honey. And I was like, maybe that's too much food. I'm like, no. And I kind of did the numbers in my head. And I was like, no, I mean, I'm just waking up and get this toast and peanut butter in, made my oatmeal like I always do, had that about an hour before. And then right before the race, I had half a banana and a gummy. And I hadn't been eating my half a banana either. So it's like I put in more calories into my system. And I kind of was worried about maybe feeling too heavy in the stomach. But I didn't. And it worked out really well. And I felt really good at the beginning of the run. And so I made a note of that, because that little tweak, that little extra, I guess it's because I always, making my breakfast important, then maybe that was just kind of like replicating what I had during training, getting in the extra calories.
Okay.
Which, by the way, my eggs and bacon normally is after my run, not
beforehand.
No, not before my training runs.
Wow. So do you ever get heartburn when you run?
A few times I've gotten it. I noticed like a couple of Saturday morning runs, and then I realized that it was the morning after David had made like rice and gravy. So it's like that really heavy, thick gravy that sticks to the rice. It was like sticking to my ribs. But besides that, I've been pretty blessed in terms of the digestive system and everything. Not like gels don't bother me. I can eat pretty late in the marathon without any issues. I just have to, especially after that Chevron marathon that I did, which was 100% humidity. I had to pay attention to like my stomach. Does my stomach feel kind of full? For this run, I waited an additional mile for the third gel because I could feel everything kind of up there and it hadn't settled yet. So I was trying to be a little bit more sensitive to in that sense.
Right. So you get ready after breakfast. Y'all head over to the start line. How far of a drive is this? Did y'all get a hotel room or did y'all stay at home?
No, we stayed home and we drove. Okay. Yeah.
So you drove an hour and a half over there race morning.
Yes. We arrived, and then because it was so cold, we didn't want to have to wait by the corrals too long. And David was my Sherpa, but we rode over with a friend of mine who was also doing the marathon. And so he and I just kind of like, okay, we want to kind of wait, but not too close to, of course, to race start. And I had to bring a race belt to a friend of mine who was running with the Ainsley's Angels, and they have a 5-minute head start. So they were in the front. So we go on the outside of the corral, give them the race belt. And then by then they did like the Star Spangled Banner and they did something else. So, we stopped for a minute and they were like, okay, we need to get in the corral. So we ran to the back and we started way in the back of the corral, like further back than I normally do. So like after the race, after the time it started, I was like a couple minutes behind like the actual like start time.
Okay. So how were you feeling at this point in time?
Okay, I'm trying to like take myself back to remember like clearly because of course I was excited. I was ready. I was ready just to get going. And I knew that because previous marathons, like once you're in there, you have these moments where you kind of feel like it you've been there forever. But then once you're done, it goes by like in a blink of an eye. So I knew that, once I started the race, I had to really suck it in and like enjoy it and just like take it all in and not be in a hurry and just enjoy every mile as I went along. Not worry about like mile 20 when I was on mile 2, just worry about mile 2. And then get to mile 3 and just, enjoy it and feel blessed that I can do this and just enjoy the crowd and the smiles and, looking at people and wondering, is this their first? Is this how many times have they done it? Why are they doing it? Enjoying the music. So I just wanted to get started and then just enjoy the whole thing.
Okay. Now, are you using music for this race, being that you can wear headphones?
Oh, yeah.
So you have a playlist.
Yes, it's so funny because I get kind of obsessed with things sometimes, especially
so
when races.
You control of which song is going to be playing at which mile. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I had done that at other times, like for other races, where I'm like, if this song starts playing at the end, then I'm running too slow. I've done that before, but what I did this time was like I literally I had my Amazon Prime music going. And on my way to work, what I do is I would just listen to the music and I was literally skipping songs. Like if I didn't feel it, I was like, skip. And when I'd find a song that I liked, and I said, I'm going to add that one to my playlist. And I ended up with over 5 hours of music. Well, okay. Yes. So I knew that was not my goal, was not to run a 5-hour marathon. So what I ended up doing is I said, you know what? God's in control of everything I do. He could be in control of my music. So I put on shuffle. And I said, okay, God, you give me the song that I need at the time that I need it. And so David and I kept having these jokes about like Eye of the Tiger because that was on my playlist. And I'm like, I wonder when God's going to play Eye of the Tiger. And so I started my music before the race even started, like when just like a minute before, just to have it going already. And so
and that way you can put your phone up and kind of like not have to worry about it. Yep.
Exactly. Everything's set. I put it, so I don't remember what song started first, but then we were the corral starts moving forward and I go, okay, it's time to put my music up a little. And it was Eye of the Tiger. And I'm like, oh, already? I was like, all right. I told you had control of this. So if Eye of the Tiger is right before the start, then Eye of the Tiger it is.
Wow. That's pretty awesome. So you get to the start line and you actually crossed over the start line. Were you excited at this point or were you calm?
I was calm. Excited, but calm because, when you start a race, the thing is to like go out too fast. And then there were 2 reasons why that did not happen this time. Well, one reason was because I had told myself, look, there's no hurry. slowly, you're going to be running for 26.2 miles. Just get into that pace that you need, but slowly. There's no reason to, to start going out too fast. And the second reason was there were so many people in front of me. It was crazy. Like, I was weaving in and out of people, and I was only running to weave in and out, I was at a 9-minute pace. And I'm like, oh my gosh, and to this day, I still don't understand. If you're going to walk, which I don't know why anybody would walk when you just went out the starting line. There was a lot of people walking right out of the chute, but go to the right. Just go to the right and let the people running go on the left. But anyways, just weaving in and out of people, and you go straight down and then you take a left. And when you take a left, they let you split up into two different sides of the road, but you choose which side you want. And I knew that was coming up. So I took advantage and went all the way to the right. And I could hear, when I did that, I heard some people going, which way are we supposed to go? Because I guess they had never done the race before. And I'm just like thinking to myself, well, I'm going all the way over there because most people are going to stay to their left because that's the way we're turning. I'm going over there to try to get away from some people. After I did that, it kind of cleared up a little bit. Okay. Then everybody gets to the overpass, and that's when everyone's like, oh my God. But I mean, it's still early in the race. So, you have enough energy to get over that first overpass.
Okay. So the first 5 miles, how did they go? I looked at your splits a little bit. I know the first 10K was at like 8:15 pace.
Which they had, like I said, a little to do with the people, in the front. I'd really like pre-planned for this race. So I knew a week before they were calling for 18-mile-per-hour winds.
Whoa.
Yes. I was like, oh no. So I said, okay, I'm going to use it to my advantage. But, thank God the morning of there were 11-mile-per-hour winds, which are still, it's pretty windy, but better than 18. But I had sat down with the map and I said, okay, if it's a northwest wind, this is the direction it's coming. So I said, all right, so when is it going to be in my favor? And I knew that like mile 1 to about mile 6, the wind would be at my back. And so I let myself, even though I wanted to hold like 8:20, I knew I'd already told myself, if I'm running an 8:10 at that point, it's all good because you have the wind at your back and you're kind of going down. So that's fine. Like let it take you down, take advantage of that time.
Of what you can.
Exactly. And then on the way back or any time that I had to like to go uphill at any point or have the wind at my face, don't get upset about it. Know that your pace is going to get to 8:25, 8:30, just accept it for what it is. Be calm, relax your body. And then when you can get back in control, get back in control. Just keep looking at your overall pace. So I felt really good for the first 5-6 miles because I had the wind at my back.
Wow. So the first 5 miles, what is the atmosphere like? What do you see? What's the terrain like? I know this is on a road, but you said there's an overpass?
Yeah, there's an overpass that you have to take on the way out. And then you have to take it on the way back in. I think it's about mile maybe 20. Well, on the way out, maybe mile 1.5, around mile 1.5. On the way in, that's like 25 sort of ish. I don't know. But which, like I said, on the way out, it's not a big deal. But on the way in, especially on the marathon, it's not too inviting. Plus, they have like a bread factory around there. So it's got this really weird yeast smell.
Really?
Yes.
A bread factory.
And you don't want to smell that, like that weird bread, yeasty baking kind of smell. And you're like at the end of a marathon and everything, all smells. You're very sensitive to everything that you smell.
Man. So the overpass, how tall is this overpass that you have to go?
Numbers wise, I don't know. It's not that steep, but like I said, on the way out, it's not a big deal, but it is steep enough that on the way back that, you really, I would tell anyone that's doing the marathon on the way back, like, just, like I said, just be okay with slowing down your pace. You see a lot of people walking it. I don't really think that one really has to walk it. Just slow down your pace and just kind of take it as like a rest point. And because then you will get up to top, and what goes up must come down, and you're coming back down again.
Right. Now, before you get to mile 4, you're able to see this lake to your left, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how was this? Was it nice to see that? Did you know that it was going to be pretty? Were you banking on that being pretty? Because that's basically facing to the east, right? So you can see the sunrise.
Well, it was a cloudy day, so it was all gray. But I look forward to getting around the lakes. That takes you around the LSU campus,
Right.
So that's cool.
Unfortunately,
it's it's awesome for me. But also where I go work out at Training Wheels, we have a big crew that always like a cheering section, and they're always waiting right there at mile 3, which is by the water. And I knew that was coming up, and so I had I had a zip up jacket. I learned because last year I had on a cheap Walmart sweater over my head that I tried to get rid of, pulling it over my head, and everything was falling off of me. So I learned my lesson last year. And this year I had a zip up jacket. So I knew I could just get my arms out real easy. And so I had taken it off, and I knew to expect that group there. And that's where David was. And I had my jacket over my arm, and, you come by, and then they have a big gong.
Really?
This huge gong that they always have where we work out, but they bring it to the race. And you have like all kinds of people wanting to stop and just hit that gong. And so you can hear it. So it's like, boom, boom. And I'm like, here we go. Here's my crew. And so I get up and I see close, and I see David, and he's got my big head on a stick, waving it back and forth. And I'm like, oh, there's David. Oh, he's got a sign that says Boston. Awesome. And there's my big head. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, at least I look good in that picture.
So did you even know he had that?
No, he completely surprised me with that.
He surprised you with a big head on a stick.
Yes, a big head on my big head on a stick.
Gosh.
Yeah. So I look forward to mile 3, and I look forward to mile 10 because you loop around the water, and when you get to mile 10, so it's just a ways up for them. So they've moved over there, and I get to hear the gong again.
And it's almost like a lollipop, and that's where they can kind of see you there, and then you do another lollipop, and then you come back to the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to take your first goo at 45 minutes in, right?
Yeah.
So ish? So,
45 minute ish, yeah.
Okay. Is that more based on mileage?
Well, so based on mileage, you figure like mile 6, but then again, looking at the map before the race, I saw that, they had a water stop at mile 6. So what I did was at about mile 5.5, I took the gel so that I would have the water to wash it down, which, like I said, I've been lucky enough that I don't have any issues with my stomach, but I know that, when you take those goos and those gels, like you really should, have some water to wash it down with. So I was just trying to plan it to where I would get it just right before, like at my, at the 45 minutes, but right before the water stop.
Okay. So that way you have time for it to settle just a little bit, have a little bit of that taste in your mouth, and then just flush it out with water.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
So what were your splits like that you were looking at on the first 5 miles?
And this is from like experience, because last year I tried to do it to where I was looking at like, as a 10K, like 4 10Ks. And that just did not work in my head. So what I was just trying to do is, like I said, I'm just concentrating on this mile. And at right this second, am I holding the pace that I want? And overall, is this coming out well? And then that's when I look at my overall pace. And that's all I look at. I look at the mile I'm working on right now. And then every time my watch would go off every mile, I would try to look and make sure that the last mile was done at either 8:20 or less. And I guess because the weather and the good training, I was holding like 8:11, 8:12. And I was like, oh, good. Okay, well, I'm well under. And every time a mile would go by, I'm like, oh, I'm well under. And I'd look at the overall, and it was 8:11 or 8:12. And, I said, okay, I guess I'll do the next mile.
I got some time in the bank.
Exactly. I got some time at the bank. It's all good. I was like, just don't go. Because at times I would look and I was running like a 750 or something like that. I'm like, whoa, hold on. Get back a little. You got to save that for the end. Because you really do, need like, especially after those 20 miles, you really do need that little bit that you saved up for just the end. Because you just never know how your body's going to do.
Wow. So from miles 5 to 10, you're going back around the lake, leaving LSU campus. There's some long straightaways over there and some curvy parts of the trail or road. How was that?
It's beautiful because you're running like through, the long hanging mossy trees. And then you've got like the big houses and they're beautiful and people have decorations up. Mardi Gras is coming. Although I did see someone with their Christmas decorations still up, but it was still pretty. I was like, okay, I don't feel too bad for having anything still up in my house. But, and then people have the signs out, like go run fast. You got this. The people around there are just so cool about cheering you on, and the little kids with their big jackets because it was cold and they're all like waving with their little arms. And, some people are out there with like donuts and treats that I never get to eat because I'm trying to like hold a pace. So I'm like, oh, will you be here like in a couple hours? Maybe I'll come by again. I don't know. Like chocolate chip cookies now. But I did notice through those trees though, there was at least a good 2 times that my pace was off.
Really?
Yeah. It was saying I was running, I'm throwing out a number, but I'd look and it said I was running like 8:50 or 9-minute mile. And I knew good and well. I said, no way. I know by how I feel, I'm running faster than that.
Not today, Satan.
Yeah, exactly. Not today, Satan. Not today. But it's like a signal or something that was like it had lost signal or something. So I said, okay, just kind of keep going by feel. Don't worry about it. Don't burn yourself out. Don't try to go fast. And all of a sudden you see you're running like a 6:40 or something like that. And then all of a sudden my watch caught up again. I looked at my overall pace again. It was still like 8:12 or 8:11. And then I said, okay, I'm not going to worry about it. And then, just it caught up again.
Okay. So how are you feeling through miles 10?
I still felt good. I did have a couple moments where, little parts of my body might start hurting here or there. And, you kind of get the moment where you're like, oh, is this going to be an issue later on? But then I reminded myself that most of the time, it's just something that you feel and you just kind of watch your how your form, and then it'll go away. I had like a moment where I felt kind of tired and I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to run 26 miles if I feel like this at like mile 8? But that is also normal. You go through like the waves, where you kind of like, you feel real tired, but then all of a sudden I feel great. I could run like this all day. It
seems like you were able to take that thought of how you felt and almost like hold it in your hand and say, why am I having this thought? Okay, I don't need that thought I don't need that thought. Just get that out of here. I'll think of something else. Is that what you were doing?
It's funny that you said that because there's a couple of times, there's probably like literally 2 times during the race where, you have that thought of, I don't need this. I don't have to, what am I doing this for? I'm not a professional runner. I'm not winning any prizes, And I said, you sit on the sofa. I'm doing this right now. Like I literally thought, this is not your time. Come back and see me after the race. Go sit down. And I just pushed it over to the side and then I was good.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's very mental. Very mental.
I think so. Yeah. So what about your feeling in your feet? Were you feeling like there's blisters forming at any point in these miles? All
right. Let me tell you about Ruby's Lube. Do you know what I'm saying? Like for real. I slather that stuff all over my feet, all over my toes. And I had on tights that day because it was cold, but I'll use it like on my legs, like on the side of my knees, anywhere like under my heart rate monitor till I get chafing. And I have no chafing. I get no blisters from toes, rubbing together or anything. I also wear toe socks, which helps also.
Injingas,
yes,
whatever.
They're awesome.
Oh my gosh. I bought one pair of those. And
you didn't like it?
I put those on and I was like, oh my gosh, how do people wear these day to day?
But did you run in them?
No, I didn't run in them. I couldn't even wear them for a day.
Oh, I bet though if you ran in them, you'd forget you were wearing them. I'm telling you. Try it again.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I had that neuroma on my left foot, so the nerve between the toes. And I got the Newton shoes, which have the lugs, which push, kind of help your toes splay. Got the toe socks, which help my toes to be separated from each other, which also help to give space to the nerve and also avoid the toes chafing with each other. Then the Ruby's Lube, and my feet are set. Now, I did lose 2 toenails, but that had nothing to do with the race.
You did lose 2 toenails.
But that had nothing to do with the race, though. That was before the race.
So that was just the training that did that. Okay.
That was the training that did that. Yeah.
Wow. So moving on down the road here from miles 10 through 15 through the halfway point, how was this?
It's kind of like you have these moments kind of like where it's a blur, even though I tried to make sure that I was just like after the race, everything's said and done. It just kind of all blends. The only thing I remember between miles 10 and 15 for sure was that, the half marathoners split.
Yeah, y'all go to the finish line. We'll be there in an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Exactly. So they kind of do a little U-turn and I'm like, okay, bye. But that's kind of like, again, with the mental. So what I did at that point was I said, okay, I'm done with the 13.1. How about I go do a half marathon? And then it just seems so much easier. I'm like, oh yeah, I can run 13.1 miles. This is easy. And so then, speaking back on like pushing something to the side, all the miles I had done, get it to the side. It's finished. It's done with. What do I have left? 13.1 miles. I can do that easy. And then I started my second race.
Wow. So from a nutrition standpoint, at this point, you've already taken 2 goos in at like an hour and 45 minutes or so, getting ready for your third goo. Were you nailing your nutrition plan right on point, or were you off a little bit? What was this like?
I was on point at halfway through. At that point, I was also doing the base salt. They say to do it every mile, but I knew I had a couple of the gummies, so I knew that I had like some caffeine and stuff in there. So I just did the salt every like 2 miles. Plus it was not a hot day. So I knew I didn't need as much salt. As if the sun was out and it was 70 degrees. So technically I would have had my third gel at, mile 18, but that's kind of like when I said I started feeling like the buildup of the water and the gels. And so I said, I'm going to hold off of that for just a little bit, just to let it settle. And then I'll take it. So mile 18 and 19, you go around like a little circle around a neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And so I said, okay, good. And you pass the same water stop. So like, you pass this water stop, you go around the neighborhood, come back, and then you pass that same water stop. So, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to catch that water stop on the way back around. So I had skipped water stop 1 and 2 because there was too many people for me to stop. I was like, I can't stop right now. There's just too many. I said, and it's a cold enough day, I can skip these 2. And I think I skipped the water stop at 18 because I knew I was going to catch it back around at 19. And so that's, going around the little neighborhood, that's when like I ripped off the top of the gel and then took it and then had my water.
Okay. So what about whenever there's a part of the course between like 15 and 16 where it runs right beside the runners that are at mile 21 to 22. And you're passing these people on the other side of the road that are that far in front of you. Was that not demoralizing to you?
Well, I got to it pumped me up because I got to see the first place male and I got to see the first place female. So I was pumped up that I got to even see them at all, like, yeah, those are the fast ones. And I also got to see that friend of mine that Kyle. He was the one that I said we were kind of waiting in the car before we get to start. So Kyle was running the full as well, and he was holding an 8:05. And so I got to see him too. So we kind of got like, oh, you got this, So it kind of, it just energized me even more.
Wow. So after mile 19, you approach mile 20, right at the corner there after that neighborhood. How are you feeling at this point? Because this is usually where the race really takes form.
My feet hurt. In general, right? Your feet are pounding on the ground, and it, of course, it just started getting kind of sore. But I kept saying, "Is this anything that I don't think I could keep running through?" And I was like, "No, this is not something that's gonna make me stop." And so you just keep moving your legs. I felt again comparing myself to last year at that point. I felt really good. Last year, my hip had started bothering me a lot. And so I was like, wow, the way I feel right now is amazing, even though I was hurting, but compared to last year. And then that just kind of gave me more confidence in how the race was going. And I believe mile 22 is probably like that cheer zone that they have.
Right.
Okay. So David was there again. So I got to see him for a third time. And he's like, looking strong, you looking strong. And so that, that helped me, because I was kind of like, I wonder what I look like. I wonder.
So you care what you look like during a race.
Well, heck yeah, that's why everything matches.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I'm just wondering in the sense of, how when when like, oh, did you see them? And like, I did. They look good. They look strong. They look like, they look like they feel good. And which he told me I felt good. And later on he said, no, you really did look like you were doing well. And I think mile 23. So this is funny also. Going back to, remember how I said I started way back in the corral?
Right.
So I started catching a glimpse of the 340 group. And I was shooting for under 340 because that would have been what I needed to have qualified for this year's Boston Marathon.
Right, so, because they changed that.
Yes, because but I will be I will be in the next age group next year. So I actually have an additional 5 minutes up. So, so I really didn't need to get under 340. But the reason why I wanted under 340 was to prove that I could have very well gotten in this year. So it was kind of like just to prove that I could do it. So, I'm running and I feel good, and I'm pushing aside like all the negative stuff, and I feel good and I feel great, and I'm trying to grab on all the positivity that's out there and all the good stuff I'm feeling. And I start to catch a glimpse of the 340 pace group, and I'm like, oh, look, I'm kind of catching them, maybe if I run faster. Well, funny thing is that David had told me, he had said, you worry too much about what people think. And of course, me being the woman, I'm like, oh, offended by that. But then during the race, I caught myself wondering what people were thinking about me, which made me then say, no, stop. Worry about yourself right now. And so I caught a glimpse of that 340 group, and I was like, well, I wonder if I run faster. No, it's not about the 340 group. It's about me. Worry about the pace you have to hold. And then I noticed that little by little, that 340 group was getting closer, but I wasn't trying to catch them. They were just getting closer and closer and closer. And so all of a sudden I have a headwind again, and I find myself boxed in between the 340 group. And I'm like, ooh, I kind of like it in here. Everyone's in a good mood. I don't have the wind hitting me. Maybe I'll just kind of hang out in here for a while. So I kind of hung out in the 340 group, like literally boxed in. But then I looked, and and at that point I was like running 840 at that second. And I was like, ooh, no. Like I need to be holding no more than an 820. So I just kind of looked around and smiled. And then I got out of that little box that I was in, and I got back in the wind. And, but then I got to that 812 pace that I had been holding, there was a couple times where I would look and I'm like, you know what? Let me just relax my body. Let me concentrate on my breathing. I'll do the whole like 3 steps, breathe in, 2 steps, breathe out kind of thing. And then it kind of makes me forget about like any aches or pains. And I was like, relax yourself. Where are you at? And I'd look and I'd be like at an 8:10. I'm like, oh, okay. So I guess that's like my happy pace. And so then I just I don't have to run any faster than this. And then I'd relax and I'd just keep going and I'd listen to the music. And there were other times where I thought, well, think of this as a little over 3.5 hours of interrupted music listening where I don't have any kids trying to call me or, nothing. Like I just get to listen to my music.
Wow. So whenever you got to mile 23 through 25, how are you feeling? I know you're on pace to easily get a BQ. Did it hit you yet that you were going to get it? Or were you kind of like, I'm just going to wait till the finish line before I evaluate that? Because I know I do math.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, at that point, I was like, I think I'm going to hit it and I feel good enough. And probably about mile 13 or 14, there was this lady with a purple tank top, and she would run through the water stops. I would walk because I walk on my water stops. I literally take like 4 to 6 steps through every water stop, and it's another thing that kind of keeps me going. Like, oh, I get to walk for a little bit. Like, oh, I get to rest a little bit. Oh, there's another water stop. I get to rest. Oh, I'm getting tired. Oh, just get to the next water stop. So that kind of keeps me going on. She would run past the water stop, so she'd pass me up. I would then eventually catch up to her. And so I'm like, oh, okay. And so a couple times, she's like, good job. And, like, hey, yeah, you too. Well, another water stop, she'd pass me up. I'd catch up to her. And I did this like 3 or 4 times. So at mile like 24, where I'm seeing like, I'm going to do this. Who do I start seeing in front of me? The girl with the purple tank top. And I'm like, oh, well, look. And so, yes, I know I said to worry about myself, but I was like, well, that's a good little, incentive right there. Maybe I can like pass her up. So whenever we get to that last corner where I'm telling you, to me, out of all the races I've ever done, this is the longest trek to the finish line I've ever seen is at the Louisiana Marathon. Okay. You're like, it's right there. And you run and you do 1 block and you're like, wait, no, I still got like 3 more blocks. So I'm looking and I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, like, all right, come on, purple tank. Let's get it. So I'm thinking back to my training. I'm thinking back to doing fartleks. I'm thinking back to my heart rate during the fartleks. I look at my heart rate. It's low enough. I know I could push myself harder. I'm like, the pain, it'll be gone as soon as you cross that finish line. I'm running like this. I go just a gradual increase in pace. I pass her up. She's like, you look good. I'm like, you too. And then I pass her up. And then there are all my friends on the left, which they were way closer than I thought they'd be. So they kind of took me by surprise. And they're like, you got this. You got this. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm pumping my arms up in the air. And then I keep running. And then I see David on the right and he's like, go baby. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm pumping my arms up in the air. And then I see the last 2 set of my friends, like in the, the little entryway to the finish line. One of them says, give me 5. And I'm like, my legs would not go to the right at all. My legs are like, oh, hell no, you're going straight. And I was like, I can't. Like, I literally held my arm out and I said, I can't. I'll see you at the finish line. So I kept running and I pointed at the sky and because I knew God had put every single thing that I needed to get that time that day. He had put it into place and I crossed that finish line and I was all smiles and I felt like I could do another mile, but I didn't want to, but I felt like I could if I had to. I was like, if I had to, I could do it, but I don't want to, but if I had to, I know I could do it. And I got my little, space blanket and I got my water bottle and then they had that core power thing right there, which I always look forward to. I'm like, oh yeah, they didn't have chocolate this time, but I went ahead and grabbed vanilla. It was still good. But I drank that and I walked and I walked in circles because every time I would stop, my leg would cramp up. And I'm like, just keep walking, just keep walking, just keep walking. Then of course, everybody comes and they knew that, I had done the time that I wanted. And I looked at my watch and it was pretty on the mark, with the race time. And I went in trying to get under 340, even if it was 339 and change. And when I did that 3:35, and I was like, unbelievable. I can't believe that that I came in that much under. And I was like ecstatic. And I was walking on air literally because I had to keep walking around so I wouldn't cramp up. But it was like the best feeling in the whole world.
Man.
The best.
So what did you learn about yourself through this race?
I learned that I am a hell of a lot stronger than I feel sometimes. I learned that I have a lot of people that are cheering me on, whether it's for races or anything else. I have a lot of people that want the best and want me to succeed in things, and I also learned that you got to let go. Sometimes you're in control as much as God wants you to be, and that's it, And then after, you do what you can, and after that, put it in His hands, because if it's meant to be, it's going to happen.
Wow. So what did you let go of in this race the most, you think?
I think I let go of the worrying. I actually did have a point in the race. It was before mile 10 for sure. I had a point in the race. So remember I said, like, God, like, come on, God, like, give me my playlist. So I had all this pump up music, like just pump, like Aerosmith and Queen and just all this music to like pump me up. And I had put I had some Christian based songs, but I had put Casting Crowns in there, and it was a slow song. And I'm like, oh, I put this song in here. I'm like, oh, well, okay, well, this will keep me from, like going out too fast or whatever. And I remember I literally said to God, here's all that worry. Here's all that pain, everything. Here it is. Take it in your hand and just let me do what I'm meant to do today. And here you go. And it's just like, it just off my shoulders. And I just got to enjoy the race for what it was. And that's such a good feeling to not, be tense and grit your teeth and your shoulders all up and, just to kind of ride the wave, the literal wave of this sucks. I got this. This sucks. I got this.
Man. So what does it mean for you now to actually have this slot for Boston and to get this time? I mean, there's a lot of time that you put into this, the work, and now the excitement of getting. What does this mean for you?
Well, it is such a good feeling of like being sure, like it's like, okay, I'm in, because I had qualified twice before, and one time I qualified with a cushion of like 2 minutes and 11 seconds, and everyone's like, oh, you in, you got this. Well, the cutoff was 3:11. And then 3:23, sorry. Then the next year I had that cushion of 3 minutes and 47 seconds. And again, everyone's like, oh, but that's higher than last year. You're in. And then that was, the cutoff was 4:52. And you spend like, you get that Boston qualifying time, and everyone's like, congratulations, that's awesome. Oh, so when do you do Boston? But then you got to spend all those months until they call for applications worrying about the cutoff. And I'm like, I finally get to say I qualified for Boston, and I get to sign up and wait for that letter, you're in, instead of sitting there like biting my nails. Like, what's the cutoff? It doesn't matter now.
Man. So looking back on it, how was your recovery process after the race?
So they were kind of joking around, because like right after the race I was dancing. How, I was like, doo-doo, I made it. I really wasn't in as much pain as I did pop a bunch of ibuprofen like right after. So that could have helped. That could have been one of the reasons.
That could have helped a little bit.
It could have helped. Yeah. But, the next day, you got to kind of have like, the stiff muscles and everything, but I stretch and put my feet up and some icing. I ran for like 40 minutes Wednesday on the treadmill, but like easy run. I did do a spin on the bike Tuesday, but easy. But on the treadmill, I was kind of surprised because my right leg felt fabulous, but the left leg, where I had the issues with the hip, was like super heavy and super tight. And I had to I was going to do 45 minutes and actually ended up just kind of walking the last 5. because it was like just it was not pretty painful. It was like more painful than I thought. Then I ran like 30 minutes earlier today and it was looser. So I know that it's just, you kind of think you can like take over the world, but you have to remember that your body still breaks down and you have to let it heal.
Right.
Yeah. So but I'm getting better every day. But it's not as bad as the first time I ever ran a marathon.
Right. So what's next for you?
Well, I had a bucket list, after I get into Boston, I have some marathon bucket lists, which is like certain marathons I like to do, or
like which one?
Well, I'm really interested in doing the Dopey Challenge at Disney.
Yeah.
You do the 5K and then the 10K and then the half marathon and then a marathon. I'm talking to David about doing the Hotter Than Hell bike ride where you do the 100 and it's hot. I'm interested in doing that. So that's, on my bucket list. Of course, another Ironman 70.3 in Chattanooga. We signed up for Waco.
Nice.
70.3 in Waco. Yep.
What are you going to do for?
I don't know. I keep thinking about it, but
I know honestly, it's on the list.
Well, that is on the list, but and to be completely honest, it has nothing to do with like being afraid to do it. It's the training time.
It's the time.
Man, I'm like, it takes a lot of time just for a half. So I think the kids are going to have to be a little older. I might be like the 80-year-old doing the full Ironman. I'll go to Kona.
Well, you already age grouped up 1 year.
Exactly. And so, that's on my bucket list. My oldest daughter wants me to do a marathon where I don't look at my watch at all. So I think that's going to be another one too.
How old is she?
She's 19.
So why don't y'all do one together?
Oh, she hates cardio.
So that could be the deal right there. You'll leave the watch at home and you do the race together. Like you don't worry about the time, you just do it together.
She would say, I don't need to know that bad. She'd be like, I'm good. So,
man.
Yeah.
So right now, what's next for you?
I signed up to do the Zydeco half, but I actually messaged them to be a pacer because I kind of want to give back. And I'm hoping they get back with me so I can possibly be like a pacer for the 4-hour group. So I'm just I'm waiting to see like, am I racing or am I pacing? And then after that, Chattanooga for May.
So do you feel like you left some on the table with this time?
I think I did it exactly how I was supposed to.
But do you feel like you left any on the table?
No.
No?
No. I'm always, I don't want to, how do I say, I would never want to have, this is me. I know that some people are like, give it, leave it all out on the course, come in like falling over, passing out and all that. But I want it to be smart. I said, you know what? I need to go with a plan. I need to be smart. I need to follow this plan and I will get what, the goal that I'm going for, which was like under 340. And I feel like it just worked out so well that whether or not I could have pushed more, it doesn't matter because to come in like almost 5 minutes under what I expected, it's like I don't see it as like I should have pushed more at the end. The whole thing through and through, it's like one big piece right there from beginning to end just got placed all together exactly how it needed to be.
Wow. So we covered quite a bit about your race. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, just I think the most important thing is no matter why you're doing it, have fun and be grateful that you get to do it.
Wow. So how can people follow you?
They can go to Instagram at Pepper Elise, PEPRELIS. I am on Facebook, but you kind of have to like private message me so I know exactly why you're interested in following. So that's it.
Pictures are one thing, but you're not going to get all my life.
Yeah, exactly.
Man. So in order of importance, to wrap up the episode here, in order of importance, how would you rank the following? Mental grit, fitness, and nutrition. How would you rank those?
Oh, man. You can't put one above the other.
Oh, yes, you can.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Oh, wow. Okay, mental grit, physical fitness, and nutrition. How can you have one without the other? I mean, I just see, I literally see them all like across the board the same. They're each so important.
They are, but how would you rank them?
All right, so I guess, oh gosh, this is a hard question. I thought I knew everything you were gonna ask.
Well, if you had been paying attention and listening to the show, I mean, you would know that this one was coming.
I didn't get to the end of the last one. Okay, wait. Oh, all right. Well, I don't know. I mean, nutrition keeps coming up first, I guess, in my head.
Okay, so nutrition.
Which then leads to physical fitness. But, all right. I guess then, yeah, mental grit would be third, but just because I put the other ones in the other place. Because it's so much like the mental, I know so many people that I know could do better, but they don't want to get out of their comfort zone. You have to get a little uncomfortable, and you have to take all those negative thoughts and say, go sit over there. Cause you're not up right now. It's not your turn. And it's very mental. All so. Right.
Well, Michelle, it's been great, and I look forward to following you later this year, girl.
I look forward to following you too.
Listen some more.
I will. I already got my over 5 hour playlist, so now I can listen to some more podcasts.
Awesome. Well, you have a good day, okay?
Thanks, you too.
If you'd like to see pictures from this athlete's race, learn more about who I am, what I'm doing, or be on the show yourself to share your story, check out my website at CoachTerryWilson.com. Until next time, continue the pursuit.